Hi, I'm Ben Watt from Microsoft in Ireland. In this 10-minute video, we're going to look at the Power BI tools in Excel. We're going to visualize some freely available data and see what kind of answers we can get out of it. The data we're using comes from the Central Statistics Office. It's numbers of people on the live register by month and by county. With a few clicks, we can have that data in a CSV on our desktop. The file is mostly structured in nature, but there's header information, and the pivoted nature of the data is going to make any reporting tool have a hard time in getting sense out of the data. We have this footer information as well. We need to clean it up first, so let's call on Power Query. What you're looking at here is the end result. Nice, tidy data ready for reporting. Let's go back and have a look what Power Query can do. We can pull data from a huge array of sources. Our standard flat files, like CSVs in Excel, databases such as SQL Server and the like, but we've got some great new options. We've got Hadoop, SharePoint lists, even Facebook. And even better still, we can go directly to a website and it will parse the HTML and pull the table straight into Power Query. You can even search online. Typing in island population into the search box pulls back some results from Wikipedia. Click one, and that data will come straight into Excel. I've got 3 Power Queries in this file. Mousing over this one will give me some basic information, and from here I can click on Edit Query. This is the query editor. It's a nice familiar interface with the ribbon across the top and the most common options listed there ready to go. Tidying this file up was completely menu driven, no coding whatsoever. The interface is very much like Excel, but this is purpose built for cleaning up data. But most importantly, the steps you apply are saved, so you can repeat this process at the click of a button. Clicking back on the first of the applied steps will show us the data in the format we got from the CSV. The first thing I wanted to do was separate it by delimiter. Right click, choose, select comma, OK, and done. I'm still left with a few lines of data that I don't need, such as the headers and the footers. This is where I filtered them out, selected those rows and chose filter, and they were gone. I'm left with the labels of the months going across the top, so I need to use those as headers. So I choose the option, use first row as headers. The next thing I need to do is take all of the months across the top and turn them back into rows. So I select the columns, right click, and unpivot. The data is already starting to take shape. The last few steps were a few clicks to tidy up the data, but let's look at our second data source, population, coming from Wikipedia. The reason for getting the population data from each county is so that we can merge the 2 data sources together and have the percentage of people in each county on the live register. The source of this data was a Wikipedia page. No trickery, just paste the URL in, and less than 10 steps and this data is good for reporting. With this clean data, I've loaded it into Power Pivot. I've created some measures and the right relationships, and now I'm ready to slice and dice, so let's do it. As the name suggests, Power Pivot creates the right relationships to aggregate the data in various ways. We can pivot that data. One thing we are all going to know is that there's going to be a marked increase in the number of people on the live register around the 2008 mark. So I'm starting off by getting the percentage of people on the live register by year and by month. I'm going to split that by the province and have a look at that table. Now it's not easy to read, so let's chart that, and I'm sure we're going to see some increases. And there they are. Around 2008, you can see the averages went from around 4% and they pushed up very sharply up to around the 10% mark. By right-clicking on the year, I can choose to add a timeline. This gives me an interactive box that I can filter the report by year or quarter or month. I can look at just the last year or the last 2 or 3 years. And already we can start to see some trends emerging. By using some of the simple functions available in Power Pivot, I've been able to create some other calculations, such as the month-on-month change, so I can add those into the report. As you can see, month to month, the numbers change quite wildly, and there's definitely a pattern there. We're going to come back to that. I have a very similar metric, but this one's year on year, and this should iron out the seasonal variations. All of these charts tell a small picture of what's happening, So I've put them all together to create a dashboard and give us the whole story. I have my timeline, but I've also added a slicer to allow us to look at the county details by province. The dashboard is fully interactive, so I can combine the timeline and the slicer to get different views and look for trends. After taking some time to filter the data, just for the last 3 years and selecting any of the provinces, I noticed this pattern emerge. Have a look at these 3 areas. Let's look into that. And when changing the filter on the province, I saw something else worth taking a look at. One of the counties in Munster seemed to buck the trend when it comes to live register rates. The first trend we're going to dive into is that mid-year bump that we saw. And to do that, I'm going to use PowerView. By selecting Insert on the menu and choosing PowerView, it will open up a brand new template. What I'm looking to create is a percentage change view for each month of the year to see if there's any particular trends. I've created this table simply by dragging the values on. This will be better viewed as a column chart, so I can change the type, give myself some space, and already the results are showing. In September, there's a huge drop in numbers, combined with a mid-year and end-of-year spike. By changing the year filter, we can see the trend continue, but the mid-year is definitely more predominant. This actually coincides with the end of the school year, and September coincides with the beginning of the school year. By adding another view onto this report, we can see that increase that happens in the middle of the year is followed by an almost equal decrease. I've added some additional detail into the report, and we can see those numbers are consistent across the country. The next thing I want to look at is that outlier we saw. The best way to look for outliers is with a scatter chart. I'm building up a view for each county showing the percentage of people on the live register, the percentage change year on year, and the population. The size of the ball will be the population. The vertical axis will be the percentage of people on the live register, and the horizontal axis will be the percentage change year on year. And then we're going to play that over time and see what happens. I have my live register percentage. I'm adding on my percentage change year on year, and then dragging down the population. There's a play axis on the scatter chart. So if we drag the date down, we can press the play button and let this data show us a journey. As soon as we have the data on the report, we can see a clear outlier, County Tipperary. As we press play, we can see all of the counties moving over to the right-hand side of the report, moving up towards the 50% year-on-year mark. And as it moves along, they gradually move upwards as the numbers of people on the live register rise. But one county didn't quite do the same journey. We can isolate Tipperary and look at the whole path from 2006 to 2013. Even though Tipperary saw some heavy year-on-year changes, overall it remained steady. We can compare that against Limerick, for example. The next thing I'd like to do to visualize this data is overlay the percentage of people on the live register on a map of Ireland to see if there's any regional trends. And once more, directly in Excel, via the Insert menu, I've chosen Map. This opens up the Power Map console. I've selected my regional data, country and county, and Power Map will use that to plot the data. The first number I'm going to put on is the population. And with a very 3D feel, I can swing this map around to get a better look at that data. I'm going to add another layer of information on this report. The main thing I want to visualize here is the percentage of people on the live register to see if there's any regional variations. By default, it's given me that data in a bar chart, but we have other options. I'm going to change this one to a heat map. I can go to Type and choose Heat Map. The visualization changes, but it's not clear enough, so I can increase the radius. This can make the hotter areas a little bit more apparent when you can't quite see them. I'm just going to swing my map around to look from the top down. I just want to increase my radius again, just one more time. And what's clear is an unemployment ring outside of County Dublin. This brings us to the end, and to summarise the great insight we got, we saw the seasonal pattern emerging, the Dublin commuter belt rates, and Tipperary's resilience to the economic crisis. Thanks for watching.